Hey there, yes, hello.
Welcome back to the Rabbit's Chair. And last week we saw where I went and what I got up to filming in Munich. We also went over to the boat and saw what Sally and Ed did over at the boat while I was away. This week, or rather the week after, the last week, we're slightly out of sync. Well, not really out of sync, but we're just having a few issues because I was away and didn't keep up with keeping up with these. So we're going to try and catch up though. So this week we're going to have a little look at what Ed got up to at the boat when he was on his own while I was in Munich last week. We're also going to catch up with Ben, who came up to see us this week. So we'll have a look at what Ben's been up to, which is really not very much footage really. So we'll also have a look at getting the carousel back under control because it's got a bit overgrown, and we'll start some work on the studio. So you'll keep up in the end, and we will. So let's go. Let's see what's happened. Well, it's been a pretty busy few weeks and we're behind with quite a lot of things. So we've enlisted the help of our friends the sheep again, and they'll be down here for a few days now, maybe a bit longer, to try and get control of this place. So I may come down and trim it when I get the chance, but at the moment we'll leave the sheep down here. I don't think they're going to touch the trees because there's far too much to eat, and they seem quite happily chomping away, so we'll catch up with them later, see how much they get eaten down. So as you can see, things are starting to creep up on us and getting a little bit out of control, so we'll catch up with the sheep in a bit. While I was away, Ed also went to the boat on his own, so let's just briefly, it's never briefly, so let's just catch up with where he's got to so far with the boat. Back at the boat, and I'm going to be looking at this roof, trying to get it sanded and get some body filler in it. So yeah, let's see how that goes, and maybe if it's dry enough, get some painting done later on in the day. So I'm going to leave this to dry and go get some food and a drink from the local shop because I can't make anything on the boat yet because we've not built anything in. Okay, it's going dark and I can't keep sanding this, mainly because this sandpaper's gone, but also because I've got to get back since I've got no toilet on board. But I have learnt it needs less and smoother and a lot more sandpaper, because I'm going to have to sand this down to try and get it smooth now, but it's going to take me a lot longer because I put too much on all of it, and I put it all on weirdly textured. But at least I learned before I got to the big patch in the middle or any of that, so I've got to stop, otherwise it'll be dark on my way back, and I don't really want to be riding back in the dark. It's not that bad, but a couple of the roads I'm going on aren't the nicest. So I'm going to get my gear on, lock up. I'm going to put a bucket over this for now and get back. So that's pretty good. And we can see it now as the beginning of the rebuild. So it's been stripped out. It's now starting to get the work done. Major work to come with it, but starting with the rebuild. So it's pretty good. Right, we've started another job. Always starting jobs, but this one has been quite an important one that's been waiting to happen for a while. So we've started work on the steps to the studio, ready for the next phase of how it's going to be used.
So let's go see the beginning of that. So, as part of sorting out this front area, which is kind of sadly neglected for for many years. So, sort of sorting out this front area is sorting out the steps to the studio. So, Ed's in the middle of just taking away the steps that were already there, that were a little bit uneven, and then we'll build up, putting 3 or maybe even 4 steps in there to make it safe, before we start sorting the studio out again, ready for some more production work. So for Ben and Ed to start working up there, yeah, sorting out their work. So next big job here, really, because we need to get in there. Okay, let's go. I better give him a hand, really, because he looks like he's stuck.
He's like underneath the wall.
So while we're clearing, we've just noticed this queen bee. We're not actually quite sure where she's come from, because there isn't a nest here. It's just rubble. I don't know if she was making a nest, but it's a bit late for her to be making a nest. She actually seems to have loads of bugs eating her. I've just noticed. You see? That's so confusing. I wonder if she got attacked.
And so that job begins, and we'll call back in a bit. Now, Edward collected a load of stuff for his boat, ready for the rebuild, as we saw the other week, and let's check in on him doing some work on one of the things that he bought. So yeah, let's go see Ed.
So today I'm going to repaint this blue chair, my new chair, which has got a couple of little chips and marks, but it's a lovely blue and it's a really good paint, but it doesn't match with the boat very well. So I've got my green paint, which was left over from when I painted the boat, and I'm going to sand it down a bit and give it a nice new coat of green, and we'll see how that goes. So that's the sanding process done. Time to paint. I haven't gone too far down with it. I'm not too worried about it. I'm pretty sure it'll cover it. The paint that I've got will cover it quite well. But yeah, let's get on with painting. For now, that is it. It's covered quite well, and it matches the boat now, but I'm gonna have to give it another coat tomorrow. But that's today's job done. So it's been a couple of days and the paint's dry, but I thought I'd put the seat on and show you what it looks like when it was finished. And I can't actually wait to get this on the boat and go cruising.
So that's really good. And as we start to rebuild his deck, once all the work's completed there, we'll be able to see that fitted. So let's see how these sheep are getting on. So the sheep have been down here a couple of days now, maybe 3, and they're starting to get through the nettles, but it seems to be a bit of a bigger job for them. So they're over here, look, sat under the trampoline, kind of like taking a bit of a rest. So they're all under there. So while they're under there resting and digesting, I will get the strimmer out and get rid of these nettles, because they'll eat them when they're cut. So yeah, time to clear the nettles up and give the sheep a bit of a hand. So away we go. Well, that's it for now. I'm going to do a bit by hand as well, but I've kind of hacked down the most of it. And although the sheep have disappeared around the back to hide from the sun, so they're hidden under the space where we're putting Ben's shed, Ben's artwork, they have been out a little bit and starting to nibble at it. So over time, hopefully, they'll come and get rid of the rest of it. They'll come and eat this down, which would be great. So yeah, let's see how they go on with that. Well, even the sheep need a bit of a hand sometimes, so yeah, we'll monitor those. We'll show you the carousel getting cleared up as we go along over the next couple of weeks as well. So, right, while Edward was over at the boat, he found another little project to occupy him. So let's just check in on this project.
So, while I was out getting some paint for the boat, I came across this little chess set and thought it was quite cute. So I thought I'd get it, but there's only one little downside. I'm missing a single black pawn. So what I've decided to do is use a bit of old birch and carve a new one. So let's try and get this to the right shape and see how it goes. Well, that didn't exactly go quite as planned. I've not managed to get it perfect. I've got it in a rough shape. It's going to be black anyway, like this one, because that's the one that's missing. But for now, I think that'll do. And maybe one day I'll try and carve another one.
Another little project, little sideline for him. So yeah, he keeps finding these things to do. Right, let's go see how we got on with the steps. Well, after yesterday's clearing up, today it rained a bit, but we've managed to do 3 steps, and we've got one more to do. We just want to let the others dry a bit first so we can stand on them, and embedded a few little bits and pieces in them. Look at those later when we've actually finished it properly. We've got the rest of the steps there to sort out, and then Ed's been looking at a piece of rope to come up the side. So yeah, starting to get them. So this is quite nice, and yeah, it's quite nice that the next generation of artists are starting to take control over the studio, and we can start to devise how we use it with them in mind. So yeah, let's see how we get on with the next step. So they're coming on nicely, so hopefully we'll get them finished. Right, so normally we talk about these things earlier in the year, but we had a little bit of an unexpected arrival, so let's go quickly and have a look at that.
So it is morning and the dogs are out for the day. But we have 2 little chickens which are nesting underneath the barn, and we just have to keep an eye on them because there's a couple of the dogs that kind of chase them and play with them, but they're supposed to be in at night, and these 2 naughty little hens just decided they wanted to be out, so I fed them here to keep them out of the way for now. I'm going to keep an eye on them and the 2 little dogs in there.
So this is Felicity, and she's managed to hatch off all these little 9 chicks. Yesterday they all hatched. So she's a proud mummy. well.
So, yeah, quite a late arrival for chicks. Normally it's early spring, but they do just sort of run away, sit for a while, and then we find they've got some chicks. So, talking of arrivals, Ben came back and he was a little bit busy, so we didn't get much footage of him around, but here's a quick montage of the type of thing that Ben gets up to when he's on his own around the farm.
Hey, Peacock. Gilbert. Gillis. Libby. Oh, hello, Gil. Phoebe. Abby. Hello, you guys. Yeah. What's happening? What's happening? Hello, Mom. Oh, you are a good boy.
There's a little bit of a theme emerging there. So yeah, we'll be seeing more of Ben over the coming weeks as he travels backwards and forwards. So, right, let's see how Edward's getting on with this boat.
After a long day, I've learnt a couple of things. One, I managed to get down to it, at least. Two, put it on correctly the first time, because otherwise you're going to have to do it again, which is what I'm going to have to do now, because that's too deep and I didn't put it in correctly. And three, use the correct sandpaper, because when I started this, I didn't have this. I had a type of this, which was 80 grit, which I thought would be okay, but for some reason, probably because it's got the wrong fiberglass in or wrong sand in or whatever, I can't even remember, but it's not worked. But this one, I went out and bought it, and it worked. It was fine. It might just be the other stuff was old, because it was very old, so it might have degraded a bit quicker, but this sandpaper actually sands it. So I've been sanding it for ages with a sandpaper that didn't really do much. But there's still a lot of imperfections in it because I didn't do it right the first time. So I'm going to brush a lot of this stuff off and tidy that up. And then sand these lot, and that'll be me done for the day. And hopefully, red sky. Let's hope it doesn't rain. So if it doesn't rain tomorrow, this will be painted. And then I've got sealant, and I'll drill the holes, and I'll get the mushroom on, and then it'll be waterproof again. But yeah, use the right sandpaper, and don't put too much on in the first place. So, it's dark, I'm running out of battery, so I'm using this, but it's all done. Smooth and nice. I may have got a little bit distracted and continued going, but this means I can get the red oxide on tonight and then let it dry for the morning. Hopefully it doesn't rain in the morning, and then I should be able to paint it black after that, and then that's this front end done for a bit until I've got to get all this part off, but at least that's the rust part's done, and it's done before the rain, hopefully. So I'm going to get on and paint this and clean this up, possibly. So yeah, bye.
So that was all while I was away in Munich, and we'll call back and see how well he got on with that. So another job again. Let's go back and see how these steps were going. So we're back at the steps. Bottom 3 pretty solid, all sorted. Just got to sort this one out now, which is a bit of a weird drop. So we're just going to rebuild this one, and that's it, all ready to roll.
Smush up anyway, because it's got a lot of holes. Start doing it?
I'm just going to go that way.
Kind of put the little house there.
Well, that will move though, it's a bit big. Maybe put the legs there. This could come forwards, but I suppose.
Go that way a bit.
So the steps are pretty complete and drying nicely. So we've still got some bits to move off it just to clear up, but they're now pretty much ready to use really, so we can start sorting the studio out so we can actually walk up and down them. So throughout we've put these little objects in and decorated them. Did a little bit of artwork on the final one. Oh yeah, you can walk up steps. And you can see Sally at the bottom. And you can walk back down steps. Just like that. So it's good to get those done, and like I say, we'll have a look at how the studio develops over the next few months, and we'll see how Ben and Ed start to develop their production work up there, and that's kind of why Ben's a bit busy at the moment. He's off sort of working away. So it's the morning after. Ed was at the boat, so he stayed over this time. Let's go catch up, see what happened the morning after.
So, it's now morning. You can hear the birds chirping away over there. One's just gone back to bed. And it doesn't look too bad. So, whilst that's drying, this is one of the biggest problems on the boat. So all my electrics are supposed to come through here. I'm supposed to be able to control the boat from this panel, and none of these switches work really. The only one that does is that. I mean, these work, but I'm a bit dubious of them actually working, these clocks. These screws, this one comes out because I've managed to get it out, but they're all a little bit rounded off and stuck. I've been spraying them since I got the boat, and I've never managed to get them off. So I'm going to try and drill them out slowly to take the head off without destroying this plastic, hopefully. So see how that goes. So in my morning stupor, I decided to go and drill the box and then lift up the floor and start painting that. That was a bad idea. I don't have enough money or enough paint to be painting the floor at the moment, so I stopped myself and went back to sleep. It's been a long couple of days. But I've finally got to a point where I have something on the boat which I've been wanting since I got it. I finally have a brass mushroom on the boat. I've been wanting to get this since I got the boat and just replace those old nasty ones. So I'm going to take this off again, just making sure the pilot holes were correct, and then paint underneath and then sealing it in, and then it's solid.
So he's been pretty busy over there and got a lot done, and most of that, all of that was done while I was away in Munich, so he's a little bit out of sync with that. We will catch up with Ed and the boat and how he progresses with the rebuild again over the next few weeks. So back to Ben, and we did manage to capture a little bit of footage of Ben, so yeah, let's go see a bit of typical Ben when he's around the farm and when he's helping us. So that's quite usual for Ben, usually on his bicycle everywhere, finding unusual ways to carry something and being with his dog. So again, we'll see more of Ben. Again, he's out doing work. So this week we've kind of caught up with stuff that Ed's been doing while I was in Munich, so when he was over at the boat. And we've started on the studio steps, ready for working up there again. We've also started to try and get control of the carousel, working with the sheep. Next week, we'll do more of the steps, we'll have a wander around and see how the alpaca are doing, and we'll talk a bit about the work that we've done together with production work, and sort of give you a bit of an idea of where the studio's going and where we're going next, really. So yeah, before we go, we'll have a quick look at a little exhibition that Edward was in Lincoln, and we'll see you next week from the Rabbit's Chair.